11, you have a quorum.
The subcommittee will come to order. I ask unanimous consent that the chair be authorized to declare a recess at any time. Without objection, it is so ordered. Without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with, and the mark is open to amendment at any point. Without objection, members have 5 legislative days within which to submit written statements to be made part of the record. So ordered. Let me begin by acknowledging that Chairman Gallagher has proclaimed a record time for his subcommittee, which was completed in 3 minutes or less. I just want to state for the record that it is impossible for this committee to do anything because of the substance of the nature of what we are going to accomplish in this subcommittee mark to do it anywhere near in that little of time. I'm very proud of what we have accomplished in this mark, and I want to dive right in. So, as has been the tradition of this subcommittee, the military personnel mark was developed in a bipartisan manner and includes member priorities focused on taking care of service members and their families to ensure they are prepared to carry out, without distraction, any mission they are called upon to execute. The mark builds on our continuous efforts to develop legislation that improves the lives of our military families. We have been informed by our rigorous oversight in developing the provisions that we've included in the mark. The mark supports a military basic pay raise of 5.2% and authorizes an economic conditions bonus for junior enlisted service members. We are recommending a budgetary change to eliminate the 5% out-of-pocket housing costs for service members, and it excludes the housing allowance from household income for the purposes of eligibility for the Basic Needs Allowance. We authorize the establishment of the Space National Guard and set a new personnel management benchmark by authorizing the creation of an innovative personnel management system for the Space Force. The subcommittee's oversight of the military health system is reinforced through multiple provisions in our subcommittee mark, and we continue to attack the problem of child care shortages for our service members by increasing funding target levels and expanding financial assistance for in-home child care. In this year of the 50th anniversary of the all-volunteer force, this mark continues the development of focused policy that recruits, retains, and provides for those that are willing to put service before self. Lastly, I want to acknowledge the committee staff's effort. They have all worked tirelessly and always in a bipartisan manner to develop the subcommittee mark. Again, there's so much to be proud of in the subcommittee mark. We're not about breaking speed records. We're about getting things done in the Military Personnel Subcommittee. The chair will now recognize Mr. Kim, the ranking member on the subcommittee, for any opening comments that he would like to make.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm proud to be part of this HASC tradition of developing a bipartisan subcommittee mark that's focused on taking care of service members and their families. This mark addresses many quality of life priorities for our service members and their families. These issues have an immeasurable impact on recruitment and retention efforts. The bill supports a raise in basic pay raise for our service members of 5.2% and excludes the housing allowance from household income for the purposes of the Basic Needs Allowance. These and several other provisions in the military personnel mark should positively impact service members' pocketbooks and their ability to put food on the table. To curb the number of suicides among service members, we're taking action on several of the Suicide Prevention and Response Independent Review Committee report recommendations, including those related to promotions and delays in reimbursements to families. We're also addressing access to clinical and non-clinical behavioral health providers so beneficiaries are able to get the care they need when they need it. DoD operates the largest employer-sponsored child care program in the country, which is essential to overall military mission readiness, retention, and recruitment for the military. So we're increasing funding for child care programs. The mark also expands existing child care pilots to increase the number of options available. We are also encouraging the department to look outside the gates for innovative solutions on how to better meet the child care needs of military families. Our service members and their families make considerable sacrifices for our nation. We must continue our commitment to them and their families. And finally, I'd like to echo the chairman's in acknowledging the committee's staff efforts. They've worked diligently and in a bipartisan manner to develop the subcommittee mark before us today. Thank you, and I yield back.
We will now proceed to mark up H.R. 2670, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2024. Copies of our subcommittee mark and directive report language were made available and distributed to member offices on Friday, June 9th. Is there any discussion or questions on the subcommittee mark? If there is no discussion, the chair lays before members the text of the subcommittee mark for consideration. Are there any amendments to the subcommittee mark? The question now occurs on the adoption of the mark. So many as are in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the mark is adopted. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Gates, for the purpose of a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I move that the subcommittee report the mark favorably to the full committee.
The question is on the motion of the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Gates. So many as are in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. A quorum being present, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. I ask unanimous consent that staff be authorized to make necessary conforming technical and clerical changes and to remove from the mark provisions that would cause the mark to refer to other committees or would result in additional direct spending. Without objection, so ordered. There being no further legislative business before the subcommittee, this meeting is adjourned.